Well, joining me now for our regular Straight Talk segment is Bernie Finn, Family First Lead Senate candidate for Victoria. Bernie, it's great to have you again. Students at the prestigious Methodist Ladies College in Melbourne say they have been told, get this, to remove religious crosses for fear of offending others while their classmates get away with wearing furry ears, tails and rainbow-themed items. What on earth is going on at this prestigious, famous school in Melbourne?
I think this is a form of satanic insanity, to be honest with you. I mean, this is just appalling. Anybody who calls themselves a Christian and then backs away from holding the cross very proudly is not a Christian at all. So, you know, I don't know what is going on at MLC, but clearly Christianity has gone out the window.
Well, I mean, what are furries? If Christianity's out the window,
furries,
what's this furry stuff?
My daughters have told me about this. Furries, people who think that they're animals, and they put ears on and they put furry things on their face and all that sort of thing, and apparently that's fine. But being a Christian at a Christian school isn't. I mean, as I say, this is a form of insanity that is just going to drag us further into the mud, into the mire. It is just appalling. And if I was if I had my daughters at MLC, they wouldn't be there for much longer. I'd pull them out because you know. You send your kids to a religious school for some sort of religious guidance.
Yeah.
Religious guidance does not involve ripping the cross down from everywhere. I mean that's just not part of it.
No.
So I just can't understand that at all. Is it any wonder that particular denomination isn't all that strong anymore, if that's the way that they regard their religion?
That's right. Look, it's just unbelievable. This is a form of paganism, the idea that humans can sort of somehow be animals and identify as such at a Christian school. John and Charles Wesley, the great founders of Methodism, through that amazing revival in the 18th century, they would be rolling in their graves right now. They would
absolutely. I mean, this is it's either one of two things. It's either satanic or it's insane. And one or the other, either, both are unacceptable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, speaking of things that are unacceptable, also in your great state of Victoria, Bernie, there's new vilification laws proposed by the Labor Allen government. And Claire Lehman from Colette has written very eloquently about this in today's Australian. But she says they're a threat to freedom of speech. Additional attributes, including disability, gender identity, sexual characteristics and sexual orientation, are all going to be protected attributes under this law. If such an expansion is passed, it will become illegal in Victoria to offend people who are disabled, trans, non-binary, probably furries or sexually diverse. Prison sentences, Bernie, of up to 3 to 5 years. I mean, we've got to wake up to all this totalitarianism.
Absolutely we do, Lyle. What you've got to realise is that here in Victoria, we don't have a Labor government. What we have in Victoria is a socialist left government, and it's been that way now for 10 years, and it's just getting worse. You know, Jacinta Andrews, as I call her, is just Daniel Andrews in pants. Or in a skirt, perhaps. I don't know. It depends on who you ask, I assume. But this is the reality of the situation that we face in Victoria. We've got a government that is totally out of control. It has no respect for the rights of people that it disagrees with. It is a bullying government. It is a torturous path that it is dragging people into and down. It is just a government that has to go at the next election. The only problem is that we have an opposition in Victoria that's not a lot better. So, this is the reason that I'm so enthusiastic about Family First, because it is really the only alternative that we have in Victoria to return to some form of common sense, some form of decency in government, because quite frankly, Labor and Liberal have got us into this situation at the moment. And don't be surprised if the Liberals don't actually support this legislation that Labor is putting forward. It's just a perilous and a dreadful situation that Victorians find themselves in. As I say, thank God for Family First, because at last there is an alternative.
Well, you'd have to think, Bernie, after John Pesciuto's, 3 weeks in his defamation trial against Moira Deeming, where he defended all these, wacko gender ideologies and corruption of biology and trying to make Moira Deeming seem like she's weird for defending the truth about girls and women. You'd think that they would be on track to support these vilification laws, which would lock people like you and me up in jail for 3 to 5 years for having the sort of conversations we're having today.
There's every chance of that. That's why, as I say, we have to push ahead with family first, because there has to be a sensible alternative at the next election. There has to be, because at the moment there is none.
No, that's right, Bernie. At the weekend, this really shocked me. Well, it shouldn't have shocked me, but just the levels of which these so-called pro-Palestinian protesters are willing to go to. But, of course, there was the terrific news last week of Israel's killing of Yahya Sinwar, the butcher of Gaza.
You've got to admire Mossad. Mate, how good is Mossad?
Well, their troops and whoever fired that tank shell and got that drone in there and he's waving a stick at it. But it was great stuff. And yet, on the streets of Sydney and Melbourne, there are people out there with photos of Yahya Sinwar eulogising him as some sort of martyr for a just cause. This is not Australia. How can a religion which doesn't condemn this claim to be a religion of peace?
Well, I don't know. I've been listening to this. We've all been listening to this for years. At the same time, they're chopping people's heads off and they're doing some really dreadful things. And we saw on October 7 last year some of the most appalling acts imaginable by these people. What we have in this country is a government without any guts at all. If Albanese had any spine, if he had any backbone at all, he would get these people, he would find out if they are Australian citizens, and if they weren't, he would send them home. But instead, he sits on his hands because he doesn't want to upset the Muslims in the west of Sydney. It is just deeply distressing to me personally to see a government that just does not have any idea what it should be doing, has no idea about leadership, has no idea about defending what is best for Australia and for Australians. And to have these people roaming the streets, literally celebrating a terrorist, a murderer, a vile, dreadful individual, that sickens me. Where is Albanese? Why doesn't he step in?
It's crazy.
Why doesn't he send these people home?
No, or arrest them. I mean, you imagine if there was a Christian leader on the steps of St Mary's Cathedral in Sydney or your cathedral there in Melbourne, eulogising Adolf Hitler. I mean, this is the moral equivalence. I mean, Yahya Sinwar wants a second Holocaust of the Jews, and yet we've got people in our cities saying what a great man this guy is and getting away with that. You would never get away with the equivalent of Hitler. So there's something wrong. There's no leadership, both from the imams or from the government, which should be condemning this.
And what concerns me, Lyle, is a number of friends of mine who are Jewish, who are genuinely concerned about their future. They are scared to walk the streets of Sydney and Melbourne now because of what's being allowed to happen. It's just an appalling, disgraceful situation, and Albanese's got to carry this on his shoulders.
Yeah, he's been very weak. Bernie, to US politics, Kamala Harris, she can't answer questions about why the border was such a disaster under her watch. This all came out in her interview with Brett Baer on Fox News last week. Her only value proposition, it seems, is vote for me because Donald Trump is evil.
Yeah, well, Lyle, she can't answer questions on anything. She had a 22-minute interview with Brett Baer, and 21 times she referred to Donald Trump in those in that interview. She is a joke. She is a joke. She is an embarrassment. I don't know how 48% at this point in time, 48% of Americans are going to vote for her. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, this woman is vacant. You could talk about your housing shortage. You could build a block of flats between her ears. There's nothing else there. There is nothing else there. And to think, to have people thinking that she could be the leader of the free world, that she could be the leader of the United States of America, she could not lead an alcoholic into a pub. She is just absolutely hopeless.
No, the stakes are very high. Meanwhile, Donald Trump took a shift at McDonald's. Let's take a look.
I'm looking for a job, and I've always wanted to work at McDonald's. I never did. I'm running against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So, President Trump! Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody.
Crazy.
I'm having a lot of fun here, everybody. Look at all the fake news of it.
Could you imagine Kamala Harris doing that?
Isn't he good? He never misses an opportunity, and he never misses a photo opportunity, and that was a ripper. That's one that will be seen in every lounge room, in every kitchen across the United States today, and everybody will be able to relate to what he's doing, and particularly the point that he's making, that Kamala Harris actually claimed to work at McDonald's when she didn't. Just an extraordinary situation. But I've got to say, with what is it, 2 weeks to go, I think that the Donald Trump is going to win, and I think he's going to win, as he used to say, bigly. I think the trend is very, very strong in his favour. And unless there is some serious cheating going on, unless there's some serious rigging of the electoral system over there, I think President Trump will return to the White House, will return to the Oval Office on January 20 next year.
There you go, folks. You heard it here first on ADHTV. Bernie Finn's prediction for the US presidential election. Bernie, thanks so much for your time again today.
Good on you, Lyle. Great to see you.